In a world with overinflated budgets, near decade-long dev times, and games that are released unfinished or broken, Astro Bot has been a refreshing addition to the lineup of games released in 2024. A strong contender for Game of the Year for many, Astro Bot combines polish, performance, fun gameplay, and tastefully placed nostalgia that makes you remember what gaming is supposed to be: fun. My playthrough of Astro Bot was about 15 hours long, including the time it took to obtain the platinum. Astro Bot is a strong contender for Game of the Year by many, and while it may not be the Game of the Year for myself, it deserves to be in the conversation. A concise but engaging design, split between 5 different galaxies, an extra galaxy, and multiple worlds within each. Astro Bot provides more than enough content for the type of experience it sets to present. Even if you played through the game doing the bare minimum and just rescuing the bots needed to progress the game, I still feel there is value for those who may not want to explore or gather all of the collectibles and hidden items throughout the game. With a huge appreciation for the 30 years that PlayStation has provided consumers with entertainment and unforgettable experiences, you can tell Team Asobi put a lot of thought and effort into what to include to hit some of those nostalgia points for people who have been with the PlayStation brand for quite some time. The gameplay for Astro Bot kept me entertained from beginning to end. I don't have a ton of platinums, but for a good majority of them, going back to clean up the rest of the trophies to get the plat can be a little dull, even for the games I enjoyed. That wasn't the case for Astro Bot. Each world within a galaxy more often than not played to a specific theme that made backtracking through some of them okay, since it was a little different than the previous level I had just come from. The range of abilities and tools also kept the gameplay refreshing and engaging because for most of them, they are multifunctional. Instead of them all being to help you platform through the level, some aided in combat, in exploring, and a combination of all three depending on the item and the world you were in with the tool. There wasn't a crazy amount of depth with this, but the amount there paired with the style and length of most levels blended very well in my opinion and added more to the experience than I would have expected up front before playing. The use of iconic PlayStation characters and IPs gave the gameplay an additional layer that I also feel could be built on in future games. Playing through a few levels with a specific PlayStation theme in mind provided something for both new and old PlayStation fans. For myself, having missed out on the PS4 generation, getting to experience a couple of these themed levels has made me more curious to try these IPs that I have not had the chance to play before, while also reminding people of franchises they loved and giving them that hit of nostalgia for a time, game, or experience that they hold close to them. I don't know if that was the intended effect of Team Asobi when they came up with this gameplay idea, but nonetheless, I believe it was a great addition and execution to the game. With so many more IPs that make an appearance but don't necessarily get their own world, it does point out to the fact that this is something they could replicate in the future with even more beloved and dormant IPs that possibly deserve to be highlighted in their own right. I played through Astro's Playroom in preparation for Astro Bot about 2 months before the release, and the factor that stood out to me that I was hoping for more of was the use of the DualSense controller features. Astro Bot delivers on this and incorporates many of the same uses from Playroom, such as the suit used for climbing, blowing in the controller to activate fans and levels, and tilting the controller during the flight to provide that sense of flying and piloting. What was missing that I had hoped for more of was the use of the touchpad that was present in Playroom. I'm not sure why it was left out. Maybe they felt they had enough, or that it didn't add value within any of the level structures they had, but I would have liked to see it. It's a very minor complaint, and overall did not affect my playthrough of Astro Bot, but it was something I noticed, and maybe I just missed it by chance. Performance is such a massive part of gaming discussions these days, and rightfully so. The performance of a game can make or break the experience, and you could argue it is the most important factor for a game over the gameplay, story, or how fun a game is. Astro Bot's performance was flawless from start to finish for me. You may not think or worry about performance when you think of this game, or when it comes to a platformer typically, but the fact that it did run great without any issues adds to the whole presentation and package of how well and put together the game is. In a time where we get a lot of games that release half-baked or filled with bugs, it was nice to have an experience where that thought never crossed my mind. Well done job on this front. As I mentioned before, Astro Bot has a healthy amount of content. 5 base galaxies and then an extra one. Multiple levels within each galaxy with a special PlayStation themed level in each. There's enough content there to get hours worth of playtime. The enemies, though somewhat basic in my opinion, are still fun to interact with and engage with on different levels. Boss fights are surprisingly put together in a tasteful way that makes them a memorable experience for me outside of some of the name choices. The content that stood out to me and that I enjoyed the most was the challenge levels. Some of the smaller levels in the game, the challenge levels add more of that adversity risk-reward feeling that I personally enjoy in games. No checkpoints, various difficulties depending on which galaxy you are in, and all necessary to save all the bots in the game. The best thing about them, and what I was hoping for, is that they are building on them and adding more in the upcoming free DLC that is planned. They are adding 5 new speedrunning levels that look to be in the same style from the footage that they have shown for it. I'm not a game dev, so I don't know how easy or difficult it is to add DLC to a game after its initial completion. I am still hoping though that it does not stop with these. More challenging and longer levels in this style can add more than just content to the game. It can add continued replay value that keeps an active and engaged audience in the game well after its release. I think a lot can be done with these challenge levels, and whoever's idea it was to have these in the game, I hope they got recognition for it. At the end of the day, we need more experiences like Astro Bot. Smaller, more linear, curated content that comes without issues. This game was a pleasant add to 2024 in a year that for the most part has been pretty great when you look at the releases across the board. That speaks to the job that Team Asobi did, because I fully expect to see Astro Bot in the nominations for Game of the Year and would not be surprised if it won. Such a great experience getting this platinum, and if you have not played it yet, I highly recommend that you do, or that you try to make some time in the future to play it as you wait for another release you might be a little more excited about. Thank you for making it to the end of this review. Share your thoughts, discoveries, grievances, and how you felt about Astro Bot in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. Until next time, Mook World is in full effect.